Thank you so much to the people who make these videos possible on Patreon, including the big patrons of this month, the Nerd Therapist and FanGirlStephie. Thanks, heroes. Hey, Pokemon Masters, Toby here, and Pokemon Masters is no longer just my catchphrase. It's also the name of an official Pokemon title. Of course, it changed screens as soon as I'm doing the bit. This video has been officially sponsored by DNA and Pokemon Masters. There's actually going to be a few of these on the channel over the next month. They also allow me to play the game early. They sent it out to me about a month ago, and they just wanted me to make a few videos telling you about it. Of course, you can download Pokemon Masters using the link at the top of the description. That'll take you to the Google Play Store. If you don't have Google Play, it's also on iOS, but the Google Play Store is the one linked right there, so you can just click it and download it right away. And yeah, for the last month, they sent me a build of the game that wasn't the entire game. I didn't get to play right up to the end, which I will be as of this video going out. I'm sure I will be sitting there playing right to the end of the story because I gotta know what happens. But I was given 13 chapters and a bit of a co-op story. And this story, I mean, they said that they wanted me to play up to chapter 10. I've played everything that you can do in the game as of recording this video. Pokemon Masters, for those of you who don't know, it's a 3-on-3 battling Pokemon game. It's got a story, there's a region, the wonderful region of Pasio, an artificially created island. Kind of reminds you of the Aether Foundation from Sun and Moon. You've got new characters like Lear and Paulio who take big roles in the story, but on top of that, you have the most fundamental thing, the return of the many Pokemon Masters from across the world of Pokemon. They've got so many people here, from the characters that you played as, the champions that you battled, gym leaders, trial captains, battle frontier people, Cheryl's here, because why not? And as many of you know, my number one thing when I get into a game, when I want to jump in and get my teeth into the story of the game, is to absorb the lore, see the way that the Pokemon world gets built out. That's my favorite thing when I play a new Pokemon game, is I just want to see how it fleshes out the world of Pokemon and makes it feel like this interconnected, real thing. And wow, does Pokemon Masters provide opportunities that I didn't think were going to happen. Characters that have never interacted before. For example, Blaine and Flannery. They are both fire experts, with Blaine having done his thing for a long time and Flannery being a relatively new gym leader. Seeing those dynamics at play, how do those characters interact? Flint of the Sinnoh Elite Four and Chantal of the Unova Elite Four having... Is there some kind of ship going on there? Going through the main stories and collecting characters and their Pokemon, also known as sync pairs, teaming up with them, building the right team, learning about them through the main narrative, or every time you unlock a sync pair, you get a day in the life of the character and you get to learn more about them there. You can interact with them in the Pokemon Center, or in the Pokemon Center, which is the main hub area, which looks gorgeous, by the way. In that area, you can use your Poryphone and use the scanner to find other characters on the island. Characters that you wouldn't conventionally interact with in the story, and you get to do a day in the life of them. The first character I unlocked was Whitney, which I was super happy about. And you get to learn more about these characters and how the information in the game crosses over with the information from the animated series and the games. You can tell that when crafting this world, DNA have really taken a great deal of care. It feels like a proper Pokemon game should feel. And playing it, I came across 10 bits of lore, 10 bits of what I'm going to call snack-size bits of canon that really help flesh out the world of Pokemon. And so I've chosen 10 of my favorite bits to talk to you about in this video. And I'm not just saying that because it's a sponsorship. I've genuinely, like I say, I've played everything that's available. I'm still trying to unlock characters and get through the whole roster. I'm really enjoying learning about the characters. And actually last night before filming this video, I had a different list of 10 and then I unlocked another character and I was like, no, that bit of information has to go in the video. So download it, discover some characters, you might even discover some characters that I haven't yet, and tell me what little bits of lore you find, of course, in the comments. But here are 10 things that I found to be pretty cool in Pokemon Masters. Now, number one, and you might notice that I look fractionally different, was going to be something, well, it was going to be something else. I had this whole point planned out about how Blue, the character Blue, who's in the very beginning of the game, starts the game off by saying the word bonjour, which could be a little nod to his Kalos ties as seen in Let's Go, where he gives you the Shallow Sable. And also in the Kalos games, they say that Blue went to Kalos, and while he could get bonjour just fine, he could never get goodbye right, and he'd always just say smell you later. However, turns out, weirdly, I made that up. I can even see it now. I can see the bit of text where Blue says bonjour, but it turns out when reviewing the footage, that just wasn't in there. And I've been thinking, oh no, I've messed up on number one, but don't worry about it. I jumped back into Pokemon Masters, and guess what? It wasn't hard to find a different number one. I just went into the sync pair stories and started learning stuff about them, like number one, Flint. Flint is in the game with his incredible hair. I wonder where he takes inspiration from. And Flint is sync paired with his Infernape. He's hanging out with Infernape and he's telling you about his hair. He's telling you about how Infernape almost singed it all off at one point. And you have a deep discussion with him and the origins of him as a trainer trainer. For those of you who don't remember, Flynn is the Elite Four member from Generation 4, and as you talk to him, he says that he hasn't had a conversation that good that since he last spoke to Volkner. And of course, this is a reference to their relationship in Generation 4, wherein they both battle together in the battle tower. And for those of you who don't remember, in Generation 4, Volkner, the final gym leader, is bored of the battles that he's been having, and it's up to you to give him a good battle, and you're pushed on to do this by Flynn. The two have a connection of friendship in the Generation 4 games, and this is further expanded upon in Pokemon Masters. I just think it's cool that DNA is paying attention to these little details and helping fleshing out these characters. Okay, now back to the other 9 that I originally had in mind. So, number 2, Misty and her Starmie. As you're going through the game and unlocking sync pairs, you can go to the sync pair stories menu, and you can click on the character, and yeah, you're given a day with Misty. And you just get to view what it's like, a day with that character, and you learn a little bit more about them, and often a little bit more about their sync pair and their Pokemon. The Pokemon that they're using to participate in the Pokemon Masters League, or the PML for short. Well, Misty tells you that her Starmie is not the Starmie that she used to use all the time at the gym, the Cerulean Gym. This Starmie is a different one that's only recently evolved from Staryu. And I find that fascinating, because it means in canon, gym leaders don't just have like, you know, one Starmie, one Staryu, one Seaking. She doesn't just have one of each of these Pokemon. She has a number of them, some stronger, some weaker. And this is kind of a callback to both the Pokemon manga and Pokemon Origins, where gym leaders kind of select their team based on the level of their opponent. And Misty decides to come to Pasio with a Starmie that is not her strongest Starmie, but it's the one she's currently training. This can also kind of be seen in the Let's Go games when you rematch the gym leaders and they have the same Pokemon but at different levels. It's kind of exactly like that. And actually, this tells a story to us that all of these gym leaders that are here on the island are not just specialists of a certain type, but they really are specialists in those specific Pokemon. Which brings me on to point number 3, Brock, the Fossil Maniac. So it's not just in the sync pair stories where you can learn about characters. You can go back to the main hub and you can interact with the character. Oh, Brock's right there, actually. You click on the character in the hub, and Brock says here, "You're becoming stronger than I could have imagined. It's like I found a diamond in the rough." So Brock's pretty impressed with me. Don't worry, that's a compliment. I'm just saying that it's like finding an unexpected gem. In other words, it's rare to see a trainer as good as you are. Well, thanks, Brock. Thanks, buddy. However, in an earlier interaction, Brock was telling me how he had a love of finding fossil Pokemon from all over the world. Now, as far back as Gold and Silver, when you re-travel through Kanto, you see Brock is using Omastar and Kabutops. He uses those fossil Pokemon as well as Aerodactyl in Pokemon Let's Go, and in Pokemon Black and White 2, he even uses a Rampados. But this is interesting to me because I've never thought of Brock as like a fossil maniac. He certainly never talks about it in his dialogue in the games. After all, he's just a gym leader standing at the end of his gym waiting for your challenge. You don't have a lot of time for character growth. That's what this game is really good for, character development. And Brock, who lives in Pewter City, just south of the Pewter Museum, where they keep the fossils, and right next to Mount Moon, where the fossils are found. In this game, Brock will tell you, yeah, I'm a fossil maniac. He's a fossil enthusiast, and I just think that's really cool. Now, number 4, onto the first sync pair that I unlocked. And I was really hoping to get Chris, because I want to see how they're developing this character, given that she's only been in one Pokemon game before, Pokemon Crystal. But I didn't. I got a different Johto celebrity. I got Whitney. And Whitney also had an origin story for her favourite Pokemon, her Miltank, which she says she got it on a Moo Moo Milk Farm in Johto. And to anyone who's played the Johto games before, you can catch Miltank in the wild, but there actually is a Moo Moo Milk Farm just north of Olivine City. Given that it's the only Moo Moo Milk Farm in the whole of the Johto region, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this is the place that she's talking about. Whitney actually has a whole ton of cool character development in this game, and she's not as terrifying as I remember. Her Miltank is famously evil, but yeah, now her Miltank kind of has an origin story. Number 5. This game makes decisions about certainly the game universe's Pokemon lore. So, like I was mentioning earlier about Chris, it's like, what is the lore of that character? Especially when you compare Chris to Lyra or Ethan or Gold. These are all the main characters of the Johto games, and sometimes when it comes to canon, the game has to make a decision. In this game, you team up with Brendan, the male character who's the one that you play as in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Brendan has his Trico, which I was training up for so long, and as part of the sync pair stories, if you get your Trico or you get your Pokemon to a high enough level, you can try and evolve it, and for some reason you can't evolve his Trico, or if you can, I'm just not high enough level. But you know, you team up with this character, you meet him, and later on you interact with Norman, who is the player character's father in Ruby and Sapphire. And this game very definitively states that Brendan is the son of Norman, which is different to the anime, where May is the daughter of Norman. So I was there thinking, so is May like Brendan's sister? Is it like a reverse May Max situation? But no. In your sync pair story with Brendan, you then learned that May is his neighbour and is the daughter of Professor Birch. And that is the law of at least Pokemon Masters. How you interpret that to the rest of the game world, that's up to you. Okay, number 6 is kind of a small one. When you go into the Pokemon Center, the hub world, you of course are greeted by a Nurse Joy. Why wouldn't you be? It's a Pokemon Center. Her name is Trista, and there are 2 other similar Nurse Joy type characters that run the shops there. And Nurse Joy clones, they all look the same, but then these ones look slightly different, but they're not all medics. I don't know how it works. And famously, Nurse Joy has always been known as Nurse Joy. Well, apart from 2 kid Nurse Joys in the show, I believe called Marina and Paige, I think are their name, Marina and Paige. However, in terms of the game world, this is the first named Nurse Joy. There is a Nurse Joy in every Pokemon Center, in every Pokemon game you've ever played, actually, not including the one in Po Town. But other than that, and yet you've always just known them as Nurse Joy. Until now. Fun little bit of trivia for you there, I guess. Okay, number 7, another little bit of canon crossover here. Iris mentions the character of Sawyer. And you might be like, who's Sawyer? Who's Sawyer? Because if you haven't watched much of the Kalos arc of the anime, like me, I only watched the finale because it was really good. If you haven't watched much of that, then you won't know that Sawyer is one of Ash's key rivals, but does not appear in the games. I was racking my brains trying to think if there was an in-game counterpart, and I mean, there is some Kalos rivals. There's Trevor. Trevor sounds quite bored. Don't add Trevor into Pokemon Masters. You can add everyone else, but not Trevor. Boring. But Sawyer is an anime exclusive character, and yet Iris directly mentions him. Does this mean that there is a game version of Sawyer that we will see? Could this somehow be a hint to some kind of Kalos revisit? I'm sure someone will make a 10-minute video about that. Not me though. Moving on. Number 8, which is yet another anime crossover, and this is in the interactions that happen between the Dragon Masters Claire and Iris. See, both of these characters are kind of tough, strong-headed ladies who believe that they are the best Dragon Masters. And they certainly are experts in their respective fields of dragon taming. But they also had an interaction in the anime. In this special episode, Iris has gone to Johto and meets Claire at the Dragon's Den. And interestingly, when researching this, I couldn't re-find the bit of information, but I'm sure I've commented on this before, that Claire invited Iris to the Dragon Den to train under her and the people of the Dragon's Den, the Dragon Masters. An offer which Iris refuses to go and travel and to keep on doing her own adventure. And interestingly in the game, Claire comments that she feels like Iris has made a mistake not taking her up on her offer. Now, whether the offer she's referring to is her offer of having Iris join her in the Pokemon Masters League, or whether it's the offer of her coming to the Dragon's Den to trade, I think it could be either or, and I think this is another anime throwback. Number 9. The characters, all of these Pokemon Masters from around the world, they are all very well known, but some are more famous than others. At the beginning of the game, you meet Rosa, the hero from the Generation 5 games, and she meets Cynthia. And Cynthia, of course, is a big deal. I mean, she's the champion of the Sinnoh region. Everyone in Sinnoh knows her, but it seems like people around the world know her. And Rosa fully fangirls. And you know what? That's one of the beautiful things I love about this game, is seeing these characters interact in a way that you just wouldn't see before. Rosa is amazed to see Cynthia in person, and even more amazed when Cynthia actually knows who she is. And of course she would. Rosa helped take down Team Plasma. So yeah, it's pretty likely that Cynthia would have heard of her, and Rosa is just like shocked about this, because she's like, whoa, that's incredible. It's not really a reference to anything, it's just a solid bit of world building. I love it. In fact, I believe optionally in the post-game you can possibly even re-battle Cynthia in Generation 5, although that might not be till Black and White 2. I'm sure we'll do a fact check in the edit. And number 10. My favorite thing, because last night I was getting ready to do this video today. I was like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? Maybe if I could just unlock Chris, or I could finally unlock one other character. And so I used my Poryphone scanner, and I got the character of Marley. Who? Sorry, who? Marley? For those of you who don't remember, Marley is a character that appears in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. You won't encounter her until the post-game, and only if you go on some optional side journey through Victory Road, revisiting Victory Road for no reason. And in fact, the whole side area of Victory Road that you would encounter her and her Arcanine in was so that you could get to the area where if you got the event's Oak Letter, you could do the Shaman event. And given that most people didn't do that event, most people wouldn't have met Marley, and thus she's a very obscure character. But interestingly enough, one of the things she says with you when you do your sync pair stories with her and you go on the day out and you see the life in the day of Marley, she talks about how a Pokemon once taught her the only thing she needs to be is thankful for the things she has. She talks about how she's thankful for Arcanine, but this is a reference because, like I say, that route leads you to Shaman, and Shaman is the gratitude Pokemon. And in fact, in order to meet Shaman, you need to tell Professor Oak something that you're thankful for. And so the Pokemon she's referencing here is the mythical Shaman. And I just think that's awesome. Of course, these are the 10 bits of little pocket bits of lore that I found. I would love to hear what you are finding right now as you're playing the game, presumably, because in this whole time that you've watched this video, you're gonna click the link in the description, gone to the Google Play Store, had a download. This video, of course, as others will be this month, is sponsored by Pokemon Masters and DNA. Thank you so much to them for letting me play the game early, testing it out. I've had an absolute blast. My next video on this topic is a kind of more formal review, and I will be talking about that. Of course, you'll see that next week. Thank you so much to them for supporting the channel. Thank you so much to you for watching. Of course, again, leave that comment below. And again, click that link. Go download the game. Enjoy it. It is such a clean and well-polished game. But I'll save this for the next video. And of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!